Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to forensics class. So I am Miss Rector. I will be your forensics teacher this year. And I just wanted to take a second to go over our syllabus so you had some idea of what to expect. Although things are always changing this year, so let's see. One thing that won't change is my planning period, second period. I am in room 50. There's my email, elizabeth.rector. And there you have a link to my Google site. So if you click on this, it'll take you to my website. And this is for both of my classes. So the only thing on here you're really going to be interested in is this forensics lesson plans. So if you're ever absent, you're wondering what's going on. Normally, if we're in class, this is what's on the board every day. In remote learning, go to your Google Classroom and your assignments will be there. But if for whatever reason you miss a lot of stuff and you want to go back and see what happened each day, you can access the lesson plans. There'll be links to whatever assignment we had. So just one option for you there. So what is forensics? So most of you probably have some idea of what forensics means to you, but forensics is really about taking science and applying it to the law. So we are looking at, finding that scientific evidence that can be used in a court of law. So we want things to be objective, unbiased, and just based in science. Just the facts, ma'am, is what they used to say on the old show. So you might wonder what kind of things we're going to be learning in here. So we're going to start with just observation skills and move through all kinds of stuff from hair and fibers, blood spatter, for fingerprinting to bones and ballistics. So these are all the things I'd like to do in this semester. Now, so far, I've not had a semester where I got to teach everything. So sometimes we have to throw out, like pollen and spores, I might throw out if we're running behind. So that we can get to more fun things. But lots of topics. Classroom rule is to be respectful. So respect is the rule here. And that pretty much covers everything. If you are being respectful to the people around you, the people in the classroom, and the teacher teaching the class, will be respectful to you as well, and everybody will be happy. So what do you need for class? You're going to need a notebook, a pen or pencil, your Chromebook, and a positive attitude. We'll talk about the notebook here in a minute. Of course, we are in a little bit different environment. So let's talk about, Zoom or Meet, those classroom meetings we're going to have to do online. What does respect mean there? So it means being on time to the meeting, being quiet in a nice quiet place that's not distracting for you. You've got your headphones if you need to have more focus and you can't hear. Be ready. Make sure your technology is working. Please mute your mic. So if we're using Zoom, I'll probably mute all of you unless, the person who's talking is the only one who should be unmuted. Otherwise, you get a lot of echoing effects with people's computers and microphones. So participate. So when we have Zoom meetings, it is because I need to have that conversation with you. I will not have a Zoom meeting for, a lot of like a 20-minute lecture. There's no point. I'll record that and you can watch it. But for a Zoom meeting, it's all about us having that conversation and talking back and forth about things. So be active, be respectful. Your questions, comments, I'll just be respectful with all your ideas and everything you put in there. And remember, anything you're typing or putting in writing, one thing I always tell my students, my child as well, is that don't put anything in writing that you wouldn't want read in court. And same thing goes here. These meetings could be recorded. I'm not sure if I'll record all of them or just some of them or what, but definitely could be recorded, and your comments definitely are recorded in writing. So please keep that in mind. So rules for remote learning, that pretty much just covered all that as well. Mute it unless you're talking, and that is make sure you're using appropriate class discussions. Late work policy. So in the classroom, when we're in normal classroom situation, you have, work you turn in, it's 10% off for late. Each Monday, I reward people who turned in all their work on time. I still intend to reward people for turning their work in on time. It'll probably be through PBIS points. So they're still doing PBIS, by the way. The source store is still in effect. It'll just be a little bit different. Hopefully they'll get that information out to you, because I hear it's like a raffle, but I don't know for sure what's going on there. So remote learning, things might be a little bit different. It's, you might get an assignment while your friend in the same class is getting a Zoom meeting link. So things might be a little bit different. So I'm going to be a little bit more flexible with dates throughout the week. Like the assignment you got might say it's due on Wednesday, but your friend's is due Thursday. Don't worry. And ultimately it's not getting counted late unless it's not in by Friday. So throughout the week, my plan is to have, screencasts of lessons, but at least a couple of times a week where I meet with students, either part of a class or all of the class, and then an assessment on Thursday. So this is weird for me because in forensics, assessments are usually labs. Like if I teach about fingerprints, your assessment, your test, is to take fingerprints, lift fingerprints, do all the things we learned about fingerprints, identify them. So I don't think I can have you lifting fingerprints at your house. So I'm going to have to kind of change things up a little bit. So Thursday, there'll be some sort of assessment. And then Friday, and this could change in the future, but for right now, Friday is going to be kind of my office hours where I will send the links to you if I need to meet with you. So if you're missing work, if it looks like you've had some issues, if you've requested a meeting with me, then Friday will be the day where I'm doing those things. To keep you from getting confused, just check your Google Classroom every day. Every day in your Google Classroom, there'll be a bell work and a list of things that you need to do that day. So if there's a link to a meeting and a time, that's where you need to meet me in the Google room that day, or Zoom. So 50% of your grade comes from assessments, labs. I hope that we get back into school and we can do all the labs that go along with this class. If not, we'll do what we can from home. Classwork, so showing up to your Zoom meetings, that's a classwork. If you're not there when I asked you to be there, then you're going to lose credit for that. Bell work, every day there'll be a bell work question. That's 10% of it. And then notes. Yes, you do need to take notes in this class, and you will have a notebook. It could be a hard copy notebook or a digital notebook. I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's 20% of your grade to have your notes. And then, of course, you guys all know how semester grades work by now. Cheating and plagiarism. I know it's very tempting since we're doing things on our own and we're at home and, you can just look stuff up a lot. Please don't copy things. Google does have a lot of resources for me as a teacher to see if things have been cut and pasted from other places. So please, I don't want to have to give you zeros on assignments. I would rather give you all 100s if at all possible. So please let me do that. Food and drinks. Hey, this is one of those classroom rules that you're at home. You do you. You can even go to the bathroom if you want to. Electronic devices. Of course, you're going to have your Chromebook on. I say this in my chemistry classes all the time, and if you've had me before, you've already heard my spiel on this, but they have done studies where if you take notes by hand, you learn more than just typing them. Typing, I can type really fast, and I can type about, well, last time I checked, which has been a long time, it was like 45 words a minute. And I can completely retype a whole page in a textbook, but not understand anything that was said in it. Now, I don't want to write that page by hand, so I'm going to look at it, sum it up in my head, and then write that down. The short version. That is learning. That is your brain processing information. Put the phone away. Now, when you come back to school, of course, you won't be able to have your phones out. But at home, nobody's there. Nobody's watching you. Nobody's like, hey, put your phone away. So I understand that having it close by is important to you. But I can tell you from my personal experience in the spring when we did NTI, having my phone next to me just made my day worse because my friends and my family would keep texting me and I'd have to reply. And then I try to go back to doing the work I was doing. I have to get into it, started again where I was, whatever. It just was a distraction that slowed me down and made my life harder. So I made a deal with myself that, I'll check text on lunch, even if they're sending me like 50 texts, and I'll check them when I go to lunch, or I'll check them when I take a break. Participating in lab. When we are in the classroom, you will have to pass a lot of lab safety stuff. There'll be a bunch of rules. You'll have to take a test, and you have to get 100% on that test. That is because you have to be safe 100% of the time. You can't just, I don't know that rule. That might be the one that gets you hurt. So come to lab. We'll be prepared when you get there, have directions to follow, and you're going to have a lab agreement to be signed as well. But that's all for when we're in here. What's it going to look like on remote learning? So again, labs are a huge part of this class. We're going to be able to do some remote. This might require you to, buy some supplies. We'll talk about that in a second. But I might have you comparing and analyzing fingerprints on the remote learning. But I doubt I can have you, collecting fingerprints, like dusting for fingerprints. So what I'm hoping is that we will get to come back to school, and I will kind of save those labs and we can do them when we get back. So for example, if we're still on remote learning when we do fingerprints and you don't get to dust for fingerprints, but we come back, 3 weeks later, we will take a week or so and just go through the labs we couldn't do. So my hope is that we will get back in here and do those labs before the end of this semester. Things you need. So pencil, pen, folder for your assignments. That's more for the in-class stuff. This is a lot of digital stuff. So when I say notebook, again, I like for you to write it down by hand, but you can do it digitally. If you write by hand, then you're going to have to send me pictures of your notes. But I'm going to put this in Google Classroom. Here's an example of a digital notebook that I made for forensics class. So there's Ms. Spector's forensics notes. And it is a Google Slide document, so you can just add more pages if you need more pages for your notes. So we'll talk about taking notes in class later, and we'll go through this more. But you can see I've got, some notes in there for Chapter 1 already. You can see over here the tabs to take you to the different chapters that we're going to do for at least the first part of the class. It's actually not big enough for all of them, so we'll have a part 2, I guess. So there's a digital notebook you can use. Note cards are good for making flashcards and things, but again, there's digital versions of that too. Chromebook, obviously going to need that. Now, class fee of $10. You're like, what? I got to pay you $10? Well, when we are in class, that helps me buy the dust that we dust for fingerprints with, and the brushes and the tiles and all the things that we have in the class to do the labs. Now, obviously, if we're at home all semester, then that wouldn't be something you would need to pay me. But you might need to use some of that money for things to do labs at home. If we do get back to class, I will charge you a prorated amount of that class fee. So let's say we miss half the semester. Then when we come back for the second half, I will probably charge you just $5 and try and get through as many of the labs as we can. So I think we already did that. Yeah. Now, this is a normal syllabus sign-off form, but you don't have to print and sign it because there is a digital version on here. So what I need you to do, especially for this class, this is an adult class. This is like a rated R class. So I really need your parents and guardians to go and fill out this Google form that I have linked right here that basically goes over the syllabus and says, you know, we are going to be watching videos with dead people in them, with, you know, crimes in them, some not appropriate for children things. And most of you guys are juniors and seniors, but you're not 18 yet. So I need your parents to know that you're going to see dead bodies. You're going to hear about rapes and just murders and horrible things in this class. So that's why you joined forensics, right? So I will see you all at our next Zoom meeting. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.